So otherwise, how are things, sir? How are things going on at your
Now, I think Corona has put us all a little bit more on the secure side, that people are a little scared to at
Yeah, true. I mean, people. Usually when. Yeah. Thank you. So, very good evening to the viewers. So we are again on Wednesday Dialogue Series. This is the third in the series. The first with the Consul General Sir, and the second with renowned journalist and media personality Yulia Niharika Sen. And now we have again a very, very distinguished personality, multifaceted personality, Mr. Subhash Chopra, very beloved Subhashi. So it's a very honor to have him today with us here, to have his, spend some of his very valuable time with us, sharing his experiences about from where he started and the illustrious career that he has built on his commitment and his hard work. And today, a great inspiration for many of the young people, and many of the unknown things and the anecdotes, for example, of his life. We are all very much looking forward to share, to know his journey. And so, before we starting and going into the dialogue, as like always, it's so the brainchild of this whole initiative, Honorable Consul General Sri Madan Lal Raigar, and it's successfully moving ahead. So we kindly request the CG sir to give a formal welcome, and also welcome our today's guest, Mr. Subhash Chopra. CG sir, floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Bala, for initiating this today's event. And as you already said, that today's personality of the day or the personality of the month is our very respected and very senior Indian diaspora member, Chopra Saab. Very good evening to all of you, the viewers, and of course to Chopra Saab, and all the other viewers who have joined out of Germany also. So we welcome you. And as Bala just said, that this was a small idea muted in, and we discussed in August, that why don't we bring in the limelight our Indian diaspora personalities who really are doing so well here, and they are the one who represent India here away from India. We, the consular or the ambassadors, are for few years, 3-4 years or so, but the diaspora who represent India, because from the foreigners' eye, diaspora are seen, they represent India, see how they are working, they see how India is working, how India is progressing, how India is behaving, and what culture and heritage. And this is how we started in August. So we had, it began with me, sort of a curtain raiser, and then we had Miss Yulia Niharika Sen, and today we have Chopra Saab. Subhaji, welcome officially, formally to you on this platform, where we look forward to hear a lot with your experience of 40 plus years here in Germany, and also before that also you had an experience of as an expatriate as a Indian diaspora living away from India. So you have abundance experience, a lot of to tell us and motivate the Indian diaspora young generation during the event. And this is the way we are getting connected with the Indian diaspora, because everyone knows about the consulate, they are doing this and that, but the real strength of the Indian consulate or Indian embassy is the diaspora, who support the consulate or embassy in so many ways. Like during the COVID-19, we had so many Indian Diaspora Association and their members coming forward to help the students, and also the diaspora, and also in other crisis, not only in crisis situation, but also during the period when things are better, but we have so many opportunity to promote India. So this is another way to respect those personalities. So here we look forward to see you, Chopra Saab, and now the floor is yours. Thank you for Bala Ramani also to agree to moderate this show, and he is doing so well. So thank you very much, Thank you, all of you. And we look forward to a great evening and great perspective from you, Chopra Saab. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So, Subhashi, so we very much welcome you. And so basically, the first block, I would say, usually to learn about our very esteemed guest. So your personality, rather than we put forward the questions, it was always so nice that the personality themselves navigate through their early childhood till the position they are in, so that they can take through the way, and also the anecdotes they can carry on during that. And so that is something very natural and organic. Can you hear us?
Don't you want to sit in that laptop? Do you want to sit in that laptop?
It's better.
Yeah, I will log you in
Check.
there.
I have a echo. There's an
Okay,
echo.
but could you hear us?
I can hardly understand you.
Okay. So, but
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can
I
you?
can hear you.
Yes, that's good. So, can you just start and take us through from your childhood through now you are, so your personal, let's say, life and the career, how you have been. Maybe you can start with, and then once the computer is ready, you can move to the other one. Yes.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm very pleased that I'm able to, and I will say that we are having some problem with the computer. We will sort it out in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go next door to the other computer and try there. Yeah.
Bala, I have a suggestion until Chopra Saab is ready. Mr. Vivek Bhandari is there. I think he's in the audience. Vivek, are you there?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Vivek, you can put a little light till Chopra Saab is ready in the back in the chair, because you have been associated with him for so long, being a vice president of DIG Bremen.
Yeah, sir is there.
So are you
He's
back?
already there.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Soprajap, can you hear us? But we cannot hear you. Could you please unmute? I'll unmute. Now you can hear us, sir.
Until he is ready, 2 minutes, we give the floor to Vivek. Vivek, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for giving this chance.
Vivek, please.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear, but video not there.
I think I cannot start. I will try now.
Yeah.
Now, better?
It's okay. Yeah.
Now is everything okay?
So I'm associated with the Indo-German Association in Bremen, DIG, since 2014, end of 2014.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful platform which Mr. Chopra has provided us. It has been our honor to work with Mr. Chopra since then. We have learned a lot of things from him. He's a big support since then. Yeah. And rest, Mr. Chopra is now back. I think now he can.
Yes, we can.
Start.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
So I will start with my early age. I was born in now what is Pakistan. That time it was India. And on division, my family moved to India, which is now Yamunanagar in Haryana. That time it was Punjab. And my father was in the wood factory, was a wood merchant. We had our own sawmill and was doing well. But somehow this industry wasn't progressing. So my father had to return to Africa, where he was previously had his business. I was working for East African Railways. and then he returned to Uganda. And I was at the age of 12 or so when our family also moved to Uganda. In Uganda, I went to the school, and that was one of the happiest times in my life. I had a very happy childhood and all that goes with it. Uganda itself is a very pleasant place to live, weather-wise, and also from the environment. Although it is at equator, but still it is at a height of 1,000 meters, so the climate is very pleasant. It is also the source of River Nile, and that's where my most of education took place. After finishing school, I then went to England, which was normal for children in Asians to go for further education abroad. And England was the choice because of the language. So I went to England to do my studies, where I spent about 10 years. And I visited the London University and did my electrical engineering. I hope you are hearing me, yes?
Go ahead, we are hearing.
Okay. And this was a great change in my life, because when I went to Uganda, when I left Uganda, I went alone first to meet my brother in Berlin. He was studying in Berlin, and this was a very interesting incident. In Uganda, being a nice climate, we used to wear shorts, and my brother had told me when I come to Uganda, come to Berlin to visit him, I shouldn't buy any warm clothes because he will look after that. And I also took it as a very good, positive way of thought. So I boarded the plane in my shorts with my t-shirt. And this was the month of end of December, near Christmas. And I landed first in Frankfurt, and I was surprised that people were looking at me. And I thought, I can't be that good looking that everybody wants to look at me. And then I took a connecting flight to Berlin. At that time, Berlin had the Flughafen Tempelhof. And there, when I came out of the plane and wanted to pick up my luggage, I felt it's very cold. I said, what happened to my luggage? Why it's gone so cold? And then I realized that I'm in a winterland, and everybody around me were very surprised. And then luckily my brother came and he had an overcoat for me, and they all then enabled me to accept a warm country, a new country. And that was a first experience for me to be in a cold country. And also I was quite pleased to be there. And after staying with him for a few days, then I went back to England, and there was my other brother living, and with him I could stay for a few days, and then we found a flat in London. This was a time where I must say, like the Turkish in Germany, it was for Indians in England. We were not very popular, and there was a commotion that East African Asians are coming to England, and there was a uproar, and actually not a very positive acceptance of us coming there. But somehow it was my nature or my education that told me that I have to be beneficial to the country where I live in. And this helped me to approach the matter differently. And that helped me. Certainly, I got a job because my course would start in 6 months or so. And then I felt that suddenly there were people who were more friendly to me. And I began to feel part of the English society.
Yeah,
But
Subhashji, can you hear us?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Subhashji, just before you move into the next part, it was so interesting. You said I was laughing at your, initial when you landed in Berlin. That's so. But I think you are so international. Actually, at the early stage, I just want to come back to that. I mean, from the so-called that part time to Pakistan, and then India, and you have Uganda, and then you came to England, came to Berlin. I mean, it's a different continent. You are just moving around. So before you came to Europe, let's say mainland Europe and continental, can you share a bit of your experience in moving into Africa, into Uganda, and your life a bit there? How was it actually being at that point of time being in Uganda?
Okay, maybe I overskipped my moving from divided India, which is now Pakistan, to Yamunanagar.
Yeah.
This town was called Abdullahpur at that time. And I think my father was one of the initiators which changed the name to Yamunanagar. It was Yamunanagar, but it collided with Jamnagar. So letters coming to Yamunanagar would go to Jamnagar. And to overcome that, they changed it to Yamunanagar. And in my early school education was in Yamunanagar. My primary education was there until class 8. I was studying in Yamunanagar. And there also I had very good environment. My father was very active in the freedom fighting, but also he was a very staunch Arya Samaji. So I got that influence as well. And also part of my education was in a Gurukul, which was being set up in near Yamunanagar. And that's why when I left India, I hadn't learned English. All what I learned was Hindi. And when we came to Uganda, this was a big change for me as well. First of all, the media was English, so in school I could not just join the school as such. So I had to learn English first, and that took me 6 months or so. And then they let me get into the normal school, perhaps one class lower than I would have joined otherwise. But the school itself was a very enjoyable time for me. I was quite happy. I was very active in the school and also had a good position in the school. I did well in school, and I was most of the time the class prefect that time. So that had very good memories for me, the school. But Uganda as such had other positive aspects. You could have a very good leisure time. I joined the Boy Scouts. I became the group leader. I led the troop as well, and also became the Queen Scout. So from that, why I was very active in not only in school, but also curriculum. So that was very good for us. But what I
Great.
know
I mean, I think 2 points you told which actually fascinated me, or I mean, still fascinating me, is one, probably your leadership skills. Probably the basis of this leadership skills was probably at that point of time, because you led in the class, but also you led in the corps. But more was the Gurukul you said, which I really fascinate, because I think many of us do not know how it looked like even now or even earlier, but we have been looking at it. What are the do you have anything you can say today because of that Gurukul impartition of that education, or the way or the methodology, still certain things or something very specific or something you feel today that, that something made you who you are today?
that's a very good statement. I feel that Gurukul, although it was only 2-3 years I was in this institution, it was a new idea, because that time Arya Samaj was very much accepted, and it proved to be very useful in freedom fighting and regaining our own Indian history or our Indian culture. It enabled us to do that. And this is true in Gurukul. I felt that acceptance of Vedas and our other literature became for me a positive aspect of my life. And also learning other Swamis in Gurukul, they were very positive people to us. My father had a very good relation with these people. They would often visit our home. So I feel as a child, I had the blessing of these people, and this is still with me.
Great. Thanks a lot, Subhashri, for that. I think now we can probably move back, because I was so interested, and pretty sure the others were also interested in this part to have it. So now you went to London, and could you share some of your time? I think, if I'm right, you were like around 10 years in London. Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a decade. So what was that something that shaped your life during that period? Because you studied in London University, one of the premier university even today, and world-renowned university. And also you studied at that point of time even aerospace technologies, which is something is not very common at those days, but it's like very advanced at that point of time. And to even get an admission to that, it should have been very, very competitive. And so what actually motivated you to choose that field, and what is that fascination for you, and where did you get that inspiration, or how was it?
Yeah, okay. When I was in school, I had a friend in Uganda, and we both thought we must serve our country. And it's strange, always when I said country, it meant India to me and to him as well. And he said India would need doctors and engineers. So one of us decided that he will be doctor, and I said, all right, I will become an engineer. So that was the motivation. And I was good in maths those days, and it seemed good idea to continue my education in engineering. Although now looking back, maybe other subjects would be equally good. So that was the reason why I chose to be an engineer. And then when I came to England, I had to do my A levels, which I did. And after A levels, I got admission into the London University. And there then I achieved my BSc in engineering.
Right. So now I think, please help us navigate through your Germany. You have landed now in Germany, and the first experience itself was quite harsh weather experience. And how was it on the first days? And also, how was it at that point of time? I think it's almost 30 years back. So how was it that, not only in terms of your, you are moving into your, education career?
Perhaps, if you allow me.
Yes, sir, please.
After finishing my degree, I must say one or two things. Fortunately or unfortunately, during my degree, I realized the whole electronic subject was becoming important. That means electronic became the new subject. It wasn't even called electronic, it was called electrical engineering. But the main subject was electronic, and before there was using the valves, and now came the transistor. So I started learning both valves and transistors, and thereby I, you can say, had a jump start into electronic, because there were not many people who had knowledge of electronic. It was a new thing. Transistor was still being invented, and that enabled me to join a very known company that time called ITT, and they were developing telephone exchanges based on electronic. They were moving from manual telephone exchange to electronic telephone exchange. So this enabled me to get into a new field in a new way, and that was very interesting. And that made me also in a position to get better jobs. And in England also, as an Indian, you would not get the job for your education. You have to accept one level low. It has changed now, but in those days, as a engineer, qualified engineer, I had to accept the job of a technician, and then you have to work yourself to be engineer and accept it higher. But I gained a lot of knowledge, which was very good and very useful, and this enabled me to go to other companies. From England, I got a job in Brussels, also for electronic company, and there was my first contact with the computers. And they were the first companies we were developing computer in combination with, together with IBM and Siemens and Philips. They together had a company in Brussels, and I got the job there to be part of this development. And that was a very, very progressive job, or very interesting job. And also suddenly from a technician to a engineer who can make decisions, give you a different feeling. As a foreigner, you are commanding a good job. And from there, I moved on to Antwerpen for a different company. And there they were already using the early form of computers to do test for these computer boards. So I was involved in this business or this technology as well. So that's where my path, willingly or unwillingly, always followed the new technologies that were being developed. And after I finished this contract in Antwerpen, I got back to England again with a very known company. It's called Logica. And this is where the new world started, because till now people were typing letters with the typewriter. So they were the first to think of producing the first possibility to type it with a computer. And to do that, you need to generate the characters in software. And this word software was not known that time. This was thought as a normal. So I was involved in that process as well. How do you convert A into a computer language so that it understands and does print A and not B and things like that. And that was a very nice background for me. And then there was an opportunity in Bremen. They got a big project together with USA, with NASA, to develop a space lab in Bremen. And that time, it was a new project, and the knowledge I had acquired so far was very useful for this project. So that enabled me to get a good job in Bremen to work on the development of space lab. So that was another good opportunity for me, which made me very happy. And that I am very thankful, because I learned a lot, because this was all being new. Nobody knew better. So everybody was new, and we had very good information from NASA engineers who were there also. So we were working together with them and learning the new way of designing and developing. So that was also one of the reasons, or one of the possibilities, which enabled me to get more involved. And positive was that at that time, today we wouldn't believe it, Germany was not that advanced in electronic. The people in England were more knowledgeable, and in America were still more knowledgeable. So more of the knowledge transfer was America, England, Germany. So I became part of that bridge. So I was transferring technological transfer to Germany.
Right. Subhashji, I think it's absolutely mind-boggling for me to really listen through your story, because you have gone through and you have been part of some of the pioneer things. Actually, when you said about this software, the word software do not even exist at that point of time, or the conversion of the letter from the alphabet into, you need to do that. All those things for us today, or for the people today, it's something, it's almost, it's self-understanding that you do it, So, and also when you say at that point of time, America, UK, and then Germany, you have actually acted between the knowledge transfer and everything. I mean, really, those are the things that, it's absolutely unprecedented and pioneer. So I would say, Subhashji, now we can take a break, in the sense we will take some questions from the audience, because I'm pretty sure they have been listening with the same aim as like me, and I'm pretty sure they have some of the things they would like to also speak to you, I think. So, dear audience, kindly please, now you can interact with the audience, with the Subhashji. So we will take some 10 minutes on, some of the things. So if you have questions, please unmute, and then you can speak. So please do that, so that, also if you can, please switch on your video so that we can also, and others can also see, so that will be more nice. So who would like to be the first to speak with Subhashji, and having some of the things that you would like to really ask him after listening to him? Sir, Siji sir, please go ahead.
Yeah. Chopra Sahab, like, you told us about your journey in Yamunanagar and this Gurukul school, although you were very small. And then you took us through your journey from Africa to London and back to Germany. But there was no glimpse of your, though we heard a lot about Idi Amin time in Africa, So as a diplomat, I also would like to know from you, how was the situation there which compelled you to move to London, whether it was for the betterment or it was a compulsion, you were doing well there, or for betterment you moved to, because a lot of stories about diaspora there, not only Indian, but others also who moved to UK that time. So a little glimpse, not a sort of very negative part, but which you can just motivate others, how in that that difficult situation you proved yourself worthy and moved to a place and then became an engineer in a place like UK. So some glimpse of that your journey in Africa, please.
Good. I think I could answer in a summary that the Asians living in Uganda, they were a society on its own. There were very little intermixing with the locals. And that I feel today very sad, because we had a society which was in itself complete. We spoke our own language, we ate our own food, and there were very little mixing with the local people. So after Uganda got independence, there was already an insecure feeling that it may bring to that point that we may not be able to live here for long. But that was only a temporary phase. After independence, there was a leader, Mr. Bote. He assured us everything would be fine. And when I left Uganda, I left it for education purpose and with intent to have my own life. But there was no fear at that time. But unfortunately, 2-3 years later, came another leader, Idi Amin. Although I met Idi Amin when I was in Uganda, even in those days, he was looked upon as somebody to keep distance from. But at the time I stayed in Uganda, we had no such fear. So leaving Uganda was for educational purpose. But the people 2-3 years later after me, they were asked to leave. And these people I then met in Canada, because I was also for 1 year in Canada as well. I can tell about that later.
Right. Thanks a lot, Subhashji. So any other intriguing part you would like to certainly, or you would like to maybe add, for example, maybe Mr. Jesse, maybe because you are all,
yeah,
so maybe you would like to add something on that, or from Subhashji's life at that point of time.
Yeah, about Idi Amin, I can say that I remember that most of the petrol pumps were owned and run by the Indians. If they saw the car of Idi Amin coming, they would close down their pump. So they knew when he used the pump, he wouldn't pay for it. So he was known for being a tough man and demanding things and not paying. And but in those days, he didn't have political power. No, he was in military strong, but not in political will. He had no position in politics.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, anybody would like to have any interaction with Subhashji on this block? Anything to add?
Yes, can I add something, please? Lot of families that were there, we became refugees twice. First, it was India-Pakistan separation, and a lot of us went to Uganda and all that. A lot of them, and then we had to leave everything behind and come from there to England.
That's right. My father left. Yeah.
So we had to, each of us, all our families had to start all over again in a different country. Now, I know Subhash when we were at school together. He was a scout and I was a scout too. And I remember him saluting Mr. Bote, and I took some photographs. I think I've got it somewhere with me. But we had a carefree childhood where Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Asai, all of us mixed together, because that was how the British had divided the whole thing. It's simple. It's English on one side, Indians in the center, and Africans down there. That's how they did. They did the same thing in India. They did the same thing in Africa. That's how they ruled.
Yeah.
So when
I agree with you, Jesse. One thing good was in Uganda, we did not accept the English way of life. We, Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs, we did not differentiate. We were friends and lived together.
Yeah, we all went to as far as we are concerned, all our secondary schools were Indian secondary schools.
Yeah.
I don't think the English had secondary schools there, because they used to send their kids of secondary school age to Kenya.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Kenya was a colony. Uganda was a protected country. It was a protectorate. So there was a bit of a difference there.
That's good.
Kenya being a colony, they had an official color bar there. The English had, the white man had his own restaurants, Indians had their, we did not have that in Uganda. So our teachers were English. We did have secondary school teachers. We had primary school teachers who were, so we got on to that system right from the start. So the Ugandan education was basically based on the European system, English system. And our examinations papers used to go from Cambridge University. So we had to sit for Cambridge senior, examinations. So when we came here, that was our starting point, that education.
I agree with you, Jesse. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And another thing was that majority of the boys or children from there would come here for further educations. They were doctors, engineers, lawyers, and all that. So when they went back to Uganda, and they practiced there, and years later, when they was kicked out from there to come back to England, and they went for jobs, and the guy would say, you got an FRCS, well, you're a junior doctor. He says, what are you talking about? I was here in guys. I qualified from guys. My qualification is as good as yours, if not better. So that's when this society started to open up their doors for Indians from Uganda.
Oh, that's
and
good.
when they realized that these people were equally qualified. They were qualified in London, they went back to Uganda, and then they came back here. So that is what changed our society here. And if you remember,
thank you, Mr. Jesse Ji. I think it's a very, very, I mean, nobody could really look forward. I think CG's question actually made this point, because these are something that you can only get through from the people who have been there at that point of time. I think CG sir has a rejoinder on that. Sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. This migration is always a difficult situation. Like you said that you have been refugee twice. The migration, if there not been a migration, whether it is from Europe to who searched America and who went to India or different places, the places which were there, like Mother Nature had given. So migration, I would say, is a good thing. If you just see now, not as a refugee, but as a migration is good, because we, after a tough time, we try to prove ourselves and get better and better, which you are now, which Chopra ji is now. And the education which you got there, as you said that your papers were coming from Cambridge, and so you were good as the Britishers studying in Britain. So that way, that was a positive part of being in Uganda, that being in Africa, you were getting education of a level of United Kingdom, and United Kingdom had later on graciously accepted the people who were suffering there in Uganda for whatever the political reasons. So this is the part of life. There are a lot of migration stories, a lot of refugee stories all around the world. Even that phase has not even stopped today. We hear so many things from different, even the Europe is being influx. So many refugees are coming from down from Africa or Middle East or from other places. And so this is a, we evolve from such calamities and such difficult situations. But we are happy for both you two gentlemen that seeing all these difficulties which your parents or you yourself faced, and you are now in such a position that you are the personality of the day today or personality of the month today, and coming on this forum where you could share and motivate the young persons, the one who, despite having everything with them, but still they always cry and complain. Your stories will definitely motivate them. Thank you, Bala.
Yeah, can I just make one little comment? You see, when we came to England in '72, we always said Idi Amin has taken everything away, fine, but he hasn't taken our destiny away. That is the philosophy of Indian religions.
Not only destiny, your knowledge, your brain.
Yes, but
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, whatever is written on the hand, we'll get. So that was the basic, and we all had to work hard. And if you remember Mrs. Thatcher making a comment many, many years ago, she says, we were lucky that the Asians from Uganda came to Britain because we changed this country too.
We changed the 33 million diaspora, Indian diaspora changed the world. And
we have.
They are changing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I think let's move to the next part, actually, next block, I would say, unless otherwise anybody have a question on this block to ask Subhashi, but it can be also raised later. And Subhashi, let's moving on. Now you have landed in Germany, and then you are, that's the time in the last 30 years you have, you have been, your life is central part has been in Germany, actually, more than that. Could you get us through to after you landed from London, and how actually your career or your, the whole process got through, and from the time you were and you started your business, and then, you moved on and all those things. So that block, could you please take us through?
Yeah. Okay. As I said, I happened to be in a field of technology, which was new, not only for me, but for also Europe. And the knowledge we gained in school or college enabled us to be of service to the other countries and other technologies as well. So I felt when I was in Bremen working on this Space Lab project that often certain knowledge was missing in Germany. And I was also sometimes requested to source this knowledge, and this I very successfully did it. So there was a time when I was enabling our partners in Germany with a new technology which was not available yet. In those days, a large project had a long life. It would take 2-3 years to plan, and it will be frozen and no changes would take place. And then the project would be put into practice. And in those days, you needed to know what would be the technology in 2-3 years. And this sourcing was one of my points which I paid attention to, and also enabled me to become a source supplier. And my project in Bremen ended in 3 years, or not only ended, I thought I should be doing this work on my own. So I ended my job with the Space Lab and started my own company. And that was something which is, looking back, what I can be proud of, because most people like a secure job. You have a good job, good income, regular income. But I took the freedom of thought. I noticed that in a large corporation, the engineers were not well paid, or their value was nowhere near to a Kaufmännische or the commercial directors. And that means the engineer would be respected, but not well paid. And to overcome that, I said, I'll start my own company. And I was also a little bit romantic. I thought in the company, most people should also have part ownership. So I started my first company and enabled a lot of engineers to join me and to be part of it, part owner of it. But this was something, it didn't work out, although the company was very successful. But the ownership problem grew into a problem that it did not get further. So I had to leave that project and started again a new one. And that was the name IPS. That was the company I started. And aim of this company was also to source new technologies and provide to Germany. And that's where I was fairly successful. One, because I had good contacts in USA, and also I had some technical knowledge. So combine that enabled me to start with a small company based also in Bremen at the airport. And lucky for me, it soon became well established. One of the major successes for me was talking to VW. And that time, VW had many different kinds of computers in-house. This may be of interest to many people that, okay, I have lived the development of computer from single chip to the modern computer, to the high performance computer, to supercomputer. So I understand all this chain of development. These computers in the early stages, each company had its own computer and its own operating system. And major problem was that if you wrote a letter with the IBM, you couldn't read with a digital computer also, or vice versa. So this was, in early days, quite happy. People didn't have to write with a typewriter, they could use with a computer, but they didn't realize that these documents could be shared and not to be printed again. And that's where I was very successful in providing to VW a technology which enabled them to access letter written in one computer on the whole, all other computers as well. So we could design a heterogeneous world. I'm not the only one, but VW that time enabled me or gave me the chance to provide this technology. And this is still invalid. It's called the thin client technology. And that was introduced by my company. And that gave us a very big standing in VW as well, that I got a personal thanks from the VW. And that was not the only company we served. We served many other companies, very large companies. And thereby we grew fairly well. I think one time in Bremen, IPS was the largest Unix computer reseller. And that was something for Bremen, good or very good position because most of the computer technology was based in South. So to have it in Bremen, I had to fight many, many battles. And it was not easy, but I enjoyed doing it, and we were successful.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Subhashi. It's a very touching story. 2 points to start with. At that point of time, later, of course, we will come back to the so-called Indo-German friendship and, the other things you actually interested and you developed also, and you're part of the Lions Club and everything. But to start with, compared to London at that point of time or England, and of course, then Germany is two different countries. It's absolutely, it's a mainstream continent, but also a country with a very, very contrasting culture. How was it for you in the early stages and also getting into that in terms of, we are speaking a lot today about integration and, those kind of things, the language and, many other things. How was it actually? How did you go through that? How was you received in Bremen? You made Bremen your central part of life. Did you think about moving to any other part of Germany at some point of time? Because you said it was, and later you said, in getting your industry and everything, it was not, so it was challenging as well. Did you get, a support from the political establishment in Bremen? Because as you said, at one point of time, IPS was the largest in terms of integration, or, really how well support in the community, and the other side, how on the development of your business.
One thing, you're right. Why did I stay in Bremen and whether I changed from one place to another or not? One thing I did, it may sound funny. People asked me before also why Bremen, because nowadays it may not rain so much, but previously it was normal that if you are traveling and it starts raining, then you're near Bremen. But that has changed now. One of the reasons, again, was somebody said, why Bremen? Then I said, we don't have so many earthquakes in Bremen, so I'm safe here. But that's not the reason. The reason I stayed in Bremen because we were successful. We had a good customer relationship, and also our company developed so much that we had offices all over Germany. We had offices in Frankfurt, in Munich, in Villingen. We had office in Berlin. We had office in Hamburg, and also office in Holland, office in Belgium, the office in Switzerland, and also office in England, and very good office in USA. So from that point of view, I was actually not away from anywhere. So I felt I'm everywhere. Wherever I need to be, I had access to that. So I felt quite comfortable. And I was also happy that my son could have his education here. And so I found no reason to change. And that's what kept me here.
Thanks a lot, Subhashi. But could you speak a little bit on that, that integration part, which I actually, I'm interested, because today you might be hearing a lot about integration of the foreigners, and speaking about the language, and, they have to go through this, and you have a lot of discussions going on. Was it also at that point of time? Of course, at that point of time, as you said, it's a lot about Turkish people and, as the Gastarbeit and things like that. How was it for you at that point of time, being in Germany, going through a normal life with a community and everything as a family, and how was it?
Yeah, I must say that here I was an exception. I was instrumental in enabling also foreigners to be successful. I remember we were the first company in Europe, in Germany, who enabled the green card engineer to come and join us. That was in 1999 or something. But we also enabled many other foreigners, like Turkish. We had a lot of Turkish employees who were well educated, but most of our employees were Germans, and they also accepted these people. So my leadership led to that we said our winning is not just having more money, but we must also look after our surrounding, that the whole surrounding must benefit from our business and they should participate in our success. So this fundamentals were also accepted by the employees in our company. So we had multinational teams. We had people from England, people from other countries like Poland, Ukraine, and what have you. And on top of that, we were very interested in young people to join us. So our company was one of few companies who enabled apprentices. So we gave apprenticeship to a lot of women, and they also excelled. You know, some of our apprentices had achieved very high recognition. So as a whole, the company IPS in its heydays was very well respected in Bremen and around Bremen and even beyond Bremen. So this is something which I also wanted to do in my life, not to have gain only in financial terms, but also social uplift of the whole society. This was my motivation, and I always had a principle in my life that I should be beneficial to the surrounding and to my company and to my country. And this time, this was Germany. And also, I should be no threat to others. At the same time, there should be no reason that anybody should threaten me. So this was my motive to make this life go on. I can't hear you.
Sir, thanks a lot. Thank you,
now it's
Subhashi.
better. Okay.
Yeah, I know you are also very, let's say, interested in politics. You have been also very much, attached to it, and you have been also very active. So could you speak on that role as, in the political part, and especially in Germany and Bremen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I also realized that if you want to be successful, you also have to have people who understand you and accept you. So I was always open-minded to have good relation with our local government. So we had personal contacts to most of the leading people in the Bremen Senate, up to our Bürgermeisters. Most of them also visited our office, or on different occasions they performed the opening ceremonies and what have you. So from that point of view, politically we were active to the point that they know what we are doing, and also they should be aware how to help us. And this was a very good relationship with them, and we kept this going, and it is still on.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. And I think I will go to the next block a little later with your Indo-German, DAG, and your association with the Indo-German community, and also your, certain mantra of success, what you have learned in your career, and some special persons always are there behind anyone's success, at some point of time. So maybe you can share that as well. But now I would like to request our audience to also come in, and then maybe some things they would like to share or would like to ask you and request some point of things. So the second block I opened, dear audience, if you would like to interact with Subhashji on certain points, please free to do so. Who would like to start first? Yes, CG sir, please.
Yeah, Chopra Saab, you're paying back to the society part, which I really like, that you had that feeling that if I'm successful, then I have to do something for the society through which I'm getting benefited. In fact, I would say that you were lucky enough to have a very smooth landing in Germany and a smooth selling also. Because of your company is doing well, you had technologies which were not in Germany, you brought it from UK through USA through your all contacts and companies which you had. So through your further discourse, I would like to know your that paying back to society part, which you may like to tell us more during your interview when Bala prompts you to say something about DIG and others. So that that motivates the younger generation and the diaspora, that when one is successful, then he or she also has a responsibility to the society to pay back. So that is not a question, but a request. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll get back to that, and thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. First of all,
others, I'm pretty sure you are knowing Subhashji, you are here and you're close. If you would like to have some point, so you associate him, it would be also very interesting.
okay. Mr. Raga, one thing is important to realize, although it seems easy sailing, it had all the stepstones which you need to go through. I also had many difficulties, as I said earlier on, that all what we achieved, it had to be worked for. It did not just fall in my hands. I had to work for it, and they were not always easy riding. My early ideas, when I in early days told somebody that I have a company or I have a business, they mostly thought maybe I have a restaurant or something like that. They could not expect that Indian could have anything more than a restaurant or sell some vegetables or things like that. That was very important because I had to do with the German offices, German Behörden. They still have a mindset that most of the foreigners are here because they are not able to do anything in their own country, and they are dependent on their goodwill. And this was surprising for many and for me as well. Also, same problems I noticed is when you went to certain meetings, you will often find there was no foreigners. I was often the only foreigners in there because it was normal that the foreigners in Germany accepted jobs which the Germans thought was good for them. And I was an exception in that I was offering jobs to the Germans. And a lot of Germans found it difficult to accept it. And I still feel there were a lot of problems raised to me as well. But I managed to console them and come to agreement. And it's been an end of the day successful, but not easy, that I would like to say.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Subhashji. Very, very much. Thank you. So any of you would like to take up any points with Subhashji on this point, or you'd like to then move on and maybe we can look at it. Okay. So Subhashi, let's come to the last block, which I really would like to understand from you is also for others also. You have been a very successful businessman till today, and as you rightly said, you have come through a lot of challenges, and you have, very, even when you are speaking, you are very positive, very optimistic, and you put all those things as something which is always achievable, though there has been always, difficulties on the way. As you rightly said, also regarding the Indo-German friendship or partnership, and you had the DAG, and then you also, the Lions Club also, you have been associated for a long time. I personally know you have been doing a lot of charity actions without making much of the fuss about it or even speaking about it. You have been telling me also during our personal interactions, and you're doing a lot also for the young people when they want to start some new initiatives or something. You have been always encouraging and speaking to them on how can they do it and all those things. Where is the motivation for this all coming from? And also with respect to the DAG, has been long associated with the DAG and have been doing so many activities. Could you please speak on that front actually and that part of your life?
Yeah, I'm very happy that I have been part of DIG. That was not the only association I had with Indian. Before that, there was another organization called Bremen Pune. I was also in the Vorstand or the management of that association as well, which is now not anymore. So from that point of view, my interest to promote Indian-German understanding was always there. Maybe my education in Gurukul or that was well brought into me, and our relationship with different sadhu, swamis, and saints who would visit our home, that had a long impression on me, that I always have a liking and wish to promote this with others, because what makes me feel happy that Indian philosophy or Indian traditions of non-violence, the tradition not to harm others, and also the tradition to be a giver, that we always wish God to give everybody's, not to me, but to everybody. These things are inbred in me, and that made me also strong to tell Germans as well that we can learn from both each other, and we don't have to fear each other. An Indian should be no threat to their way of life. We are not here to convert them or change them into our way of life. We only want to show them we can also live this way. And this was very good approach. In the early days, DIG was run because India had a very good relationship with Bremen Port. There was a shipping line, Hansa Line, and this was a commercial line and doing very well. And a lot of the people who formed this society, they were from the shipping line, and they were also well off, so they financed it well, and it ran very well. And after Hansa Line went away, these people disappeared, and DIG was in disarray. For some time, we had Mr. Gunzemeyer, who was the director of museum in Bremen. He ran it for some time, and after that, I took it over and ran it on different aspects. Now we are not a shipping line. We are a growing number of Indians and growing number of Indians who are married Germans or vice versa. and growing number of children who are of mixed marriages, that they all need a common understanding, and to further that is the purpose of DIG. And my business background enables me also to offer a platform to business people. If they want to start something, they can always consult me, or our members like Vivek is very active at present. We have now a Punjabi store in Bremen. They have become a central point for many people to meet and talk. So this has developed into a area where that as an Indian, when you come to work here, you don't feel left out. I remember in early days, I had an Indian engineer. He should have worked for me. After 2 weeks, he left because he couldn't get his kind of food in Bremen. That will not happen now. Now we have 10, 12 Indian restaurants. So this development is also indirect our effort. That's how I look at it. And I'm happy about it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. One thing was, something that came to my mind was how, see, today, if you look at it, there are many Indians who are from the diaspora or German citizens. They also have a citizenship. How was it earlier? Later came green card, blue card, and many, many things. It's very welcoming. How was it at that point of time when you came to Germany and, those times, how was this about citizenship, or whether there was an interest for Indian diaspora to look at it, or how difficult was it, or whether there were been a lot of, let's say, bottlenecks to really get to that point?
Yeah, good. Here I must be a bit careful because my personal experience here was from different level. I came as a consulting engineer. So the people around me were all educated, and I was respected as I respected them. And I felt there was no hesitation to work with me. But I know in the early days, there was a lot of Indians who were not well educated, and they had a difficult time in Germany, just like the Turkish Gastarbeiter. Even the Indians were looked upon as people seeking social help and what have you. There was a stigma about it. But on the whole, Germans are more accepting, and I feel we should be thankful that Germany as such is a country which accepts refugees much openly than any other European country. That's my experience. I compare it with England, with France, or Belgium. I feel in Germany the acceptance of the foreigner is more, and also it's my personal wish also that we should always think, what can I do for Germany, and not always hope what Germany can do for me. And that will make us more happy with each other.
Very, very well said, sir. Before, I think we have another 6-7 minutes. So one question which is intriguing in my mind, and then after that, I'll again open a small block for the audience before we conclude. I'm pretty sure over the long, duration of many things you have come through, I'm pretty sure there have been few people who have been very inspiring for you at different points of time. Let it be in Uganda or in England or in Germany, or even at that point in time in India. Still, do you remember, maybe it could be your parents, or maybe it could be different person, teachers, or maybe your friend. Could you maybe tell about such kind of few people who still you think have played a very, very crucial and important role in your life's history?
Yeah, okay. I have to go through my thoughts. I must say, I feel as a child in my primary education in India, I was influenced by Arya Samaj Especially there was Swami Atmanand. He was in charge of the ashram in Yamunanagar or near Yamunanagar. And he was a very positive person who influenced my way of thinking and enabled me to feel good. And in my other part of time, I've met many people who inspired me in many ways. I've met some very important people who are now public names. I've been inspired by them as well. I worked together with them. I was inspired by my work in the space lab, by our Geschäftsführer there, things like that. And then also in my university, I had some lectures who were very inspiring and helped me to develop my personality.
Thank you. Thanks very much, sir. Before I give it to that, the last one point, would you like to say, it's always going to be difficult to put something, what is the reason behind success or someone or some, if one has to say a line, I don't think so. That really summarizes everything. But for you, even if you do it for the next 100 years or whatever it is, what would be somebody who would like to be a young person who want to, be successful on anything, let it be? What is that for you personally would be something that they have to always keep in mind, or something you think that it was very fundamental for you, that would be your basic principle?
Yeah, I would like to express my wish to young people. One thing is, don't wait for opportunity. It is always there. Every day is an opportunity. And don't say that I missed that, I wish I was there. There is no need to wish. It is always there. We've had people thousands of years ago who complain about missed opportunities, and there are even people today who say they missed opportunities. Opportunities are there to avail, and they are always there. And second is to be happy. It is your inner mind, and don't measure your happiness with your financial well-being. And also, happiness is a state of mind, and success is who tries. There is no such thing as failure. Every time you've not managed to get something, you have not failed, you know that this doesn't work. So I go even a step further. If we say our success is 90% luck, then I would say the rest 10% is more luck. But you have to be there where the luck is. And that is your effort.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. I think before we conclude, I also, CG sir is there and others. I do not know whether we have still Mr. Sasha Chopra, son of Subhashji. It's nice that you are here today. If you're still there, maybe you would like to say one or two words about your father for you and for us, such an illustrious personality. Would you like to say a word or so? How was it for you?
Yes, sure. Can you understand me so far?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I'm the so-called second generation. So I was born and brought up in Germany totally. So there's my small daughter, Emilia. And yeah, I'm very thankful to have two cultures in my history. And I was brought up with an open mind to take the best things out of both cultures. So I was always very interested in Indian culture. So I traveled a lot to India, also on my own. And I developed a different interest than my father. So I was not so much into electronics, software, and let's say business. But I had a strong interest, or I still have a strong interest in medicine, and I'm following this path. But I also keep the cultural interest. So I worked in hospitals in India and also in Pakistan. So that was a great cultural and also professional great experience. And I think that's due to the education I got from my father. And yeah, I'm still very much interested in Indian culture and society. And I'm very thankful for this open-mindedness of my family. And yeah, so that's my present situation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and wish you also a lot of success. And we are also very proud that such a renowned surgeon and also somebody doing medicine, as you rightly said, I think it also shows a lot, which Subhashji told, which I really value, that it's not only about certain profession that actually the migrants will do, rather than they can do anything and everything like anybody. So I think this is a perception for a long time, and that's all. Many of them are changing. So now, CG sir, would you like to give a last word? So then I can actually close the meeting for today. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Bala. And thank you, Chopra Saab, for taking us through your life story, your journey, which is a typical life story of an immigrant. Not only you represent the global immigration story, and your journey which you took us through, your life story is an inspiration to so many Indian diaspora immigrants who are there looking forward to make it big in their life. There are second generation like your son was there. They are also looking forward to such stories. And this Wednesday Dialogue series was an effort to motivate the Indian diaspora people who are here, who are around the world. And this event and your life story definitely will take us, motivate them. So thank you very much for agreeing to share your thoughts today evening. And coming back to the consulate, we have a lot of events. We have business event coming up, and then one diaspora event coming on 1st of November. So through this platform, I would like to invite people to join those Indian diaspora event and business event also. And this is a difficult time, Corona period, second wave, which the there's a lot of news about second wave. So please do take good care of yourself wherever possible. Keep away from the crowd. When you are traveling the transport, wear a mask and follow the protocol and the health protocol and the instruction conveyed by the health authorities and the authorities, the government authorities. I heard that Bremen especially was having a lot of Corona positive patients. So I request everyone, Indian diaspora and friends of India, to be more careful. And if anything the consulate can do for any Indian diaspora, we are there to help them out. Please feel free to contact us. And once again, Chopra Saab, thank you so much. Once again, thank you, Bala, for moderating this event and continuously moderating in future also. So we will meet you all again with a new personality, Indian diaspora personality, next month. And till then, I would say bye-bye to all of you. Over to you, Bala. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. And thank you very much, Subhashji, from my side also. It's very nice. I'm going back to my days in the last years, meeting you in Bremen and your office and places where we had a very, very free-flowing chat. I think that was all coming to mind. And thanks a lot for the audience, everyone. And as Siji sir said, looking forward to meet you very soon in the next occasion in the next month. And wish you all well. Stay safe. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.